Morning. We're going to learn the first Mamor of Chayei. It's a short Mamor. And it starts with what we say in the morning. Usually we say this by the meal, by the Shabbos morning meal. We say the words from the Arizal. The Arizal writes the fourth, I believe it's the fourth paragraph. It says, Ta'mia. We ask Hashem, please reveal to us the Bisrei Sername, the 12 breads. Ta'mia should reveal to us the reason, the Bisrei Sername of the 12 breads that we have on Shabbos. Dinu us b'shmei, that the 12 breads are a sign for Hashem. Kfila, double, uklisha, and singular. So in short, we're asking Hashem to reveal to us the reasons of the 12 breads, which are a sign for Hashem. Kfila, uklisha, double and singular. So the Alter Rebbe is going to explain exactly what's going on over here. Not like I don't think anyone really understands V'chala Asad Sudasa, unless you really use the English Taich. But let's at least try to understand what's going on here. Just to start, to bring a story, there was a Farbrengen, I don't know in which time, but there was a Farbrengen amongst Chassidim, and they're Farbrengen throughout the night, and Chassidim became hungry. So they go to the Balabos, and they say, no, you have some Farbeisen, you have some food. He looks in the cabinets, he's out. He's out of stock. So what's he going to do? So one of the Chassidim over there came up with an idea. You have a goat, and let's shech the goat, we'll kasher it, and we'll have some food for the Farbrengen. So the Balabas is like, listen, the goat is what gives me milk, and this is my parnasa. And okay, fine, shecht it. So they shecht it, and they roast it, and they kasher it, and everyone's happy. The next morning, the Balabasta wakes up, and says, no, where's the goat? What do you mean it's here? What do you mean it's here? Playing games over here? So the Balabas says, yesterday the goat was bang. Today the goat's now already elevated. So this Mamor we're going to speak about the elevation of foods. Avodah of the week. What's the avodah of when you eat? What do you have to have in mind? On Shabbos, what you have to have in mind? It's a very geschmack Mamor. So let's look inside. So first of all, this is Parshas Chayei in Yistea Machpelah. This is correlated. It has to do with the Stei HaMachpelah, with the field of the Machpelah that Avraham Avinu bought. So just like the Stei HaMachpelah, we call it the field which is double. We're going to speak about different names of Hashem, different letters which are double. The completeness of the Hey is with the last Hey, which means Hashem's name is Yud K Vav K. Yud Hey Vav K. You could spell Yud K Vav K in 4 different ways. You could spell it, let's say, take the Yud. So Yud K Vav K is 26. But if you take the Yud, you could spell Yud Vav Dalet. You could spell the Hey, Hey Aleph, Hey Hey. You could spell, let's say, the Vav 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 Aleph Vav. Hey as well. Hey Aleph. So if you take a pen and paper and just write down the 4 different ways how you could spell Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, you'll find that you could spell it in the gematria will be Ma, Ban, Sag, and Ab, which is 45, 52, 63, and 72. So the Alter Rebbe is saying is that in the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the last Hey, you have to spell it as Hey Hey, not Hey Aleph. In Emile hey be acheres. The Yudke Vavke, the last hey, you spell it hey. And this is the level of double. As is known, the idea of the Ma'oras HaMachpelah, the double Machpelah. Chayei Achrena, which it's going on the last hey, the Shem Ban, which is the level of Ban, which we explained. If you spell the hey, it will come out that the Yudke Vavke spelled out fully is B'Gematria 52. Will understand this whole idea of double hey, Shem Ban, by first prefacing the idea of Achila, the idea of food. The main purpose of food, that from the food, we know the food becomes the fat and the blood of a person. And the blood is the vitality of a person, and the vitality of a person, that the blood of the liver receives from the food, and from the liver it sends to the heart and to the mind. That's food. So food, what happens? A person eats, it goes into the liver, the blood of the liver, and then from the liver it goes to the mind and to the heart. There are three things that rule a person. What are the three things that rule a person? Kabda, which is the liver, the liba and the heart, umaycha and the mind. Which in general, that refers to, we have 10 midas, which the midas, or 10, I should say, the emotions or the attributes of a person are divided into three parts. So usually we say chesed, chacham bin of das, chesed gvur tiferes, netzach yised malchus. So the kabda, the liver, usually refers to the three lowest levels of netzach yised. The heart refers to chagas, chesed gvur tiferes, and the mayach refers to the chabad. In fact, if you take the acronym melech, which means king, melech is, it says in Svarim, stands for, melech goes for mayach, lamed goes for leiv, and the chaf goes for the kavod. Okay, so three things rule over a person. And through these three steps, the food is elevated. That the heart and the mind, that this reflects and this affects the heart and the mind. And through the food, a person becomes mind and heart, becomes strengthened in the Avodah of Hashem. In which way? In a person's heart, he has a burning fire to do the will of Hashem with the strength of the food. Why? Without food, a person would be weak. And also, a person's mind is strengthened to think about the godless of Hashem. So that's what food does. Food affects the heart, that a person could have the koyach to have a love for Hashem, and food also affects the mind, that a person could have izbanos b'gdos Hashem. And this is the avodah of refinement, that through food it becomes part of the person. So he says, this avodah of birur is all done throughout the week. We know Api Halacha, it says in Shulchan Aruch that birur, one of the Lamates Melachas, is forbidden. Selecting is prohibited. So what does that mean? Api Halacha, Api Kabbalah, Api Chassidus. Why is birur aser? Because on Shabbos it's not about the avodah of birur; it's about the avodah of Elah Achili Yisrael Yina. When a person eats, it reflects a higher level. Which this is the hamshacha which one gets from above. The karasa, the Shabbos, what do we call Shabbos? Oinig, pleasure. Oz tisaneg alavaya. It says that then he will have hana, he will have pleasure on Hashem. So what we're explaining is during the week, the avodah is birur, the avodah is you have to refine the food. On Shabbos, it's not about refining the food, it's a different avodah. It's the avodah of the karasa the Shabbos einig. Oz tisaneg alavaya. And he explains. We say in Tehillim, David HaMelech writes, Ochar v'kedem tzartani, which literally means Ochar, the last, v'kedem, and first, tzartani, he created me. So the question is, what did he create first? Did he create a man last, or did he create him first? So the Gemara learns out, Ochar l'maisa bereshis, that a man was created last in Maisa Bereshis. But we know it was the first thing, Seif Maisa Machshav Tchila. So the first thing Hashem had in mind when he created the world was the person. He created him last. So Ochar, he created him last, but his first Machshav Tzartani was for the man. So the Alter Rebbe takes this a step further and says, the way food comes down into this world through Shviras HaKelim, so a person is higher. Because the food is refined through the person. So Ochar v'kedem, which means the Ochar, the food, v'kedem, man is higher than food. However, the shadish, the root of food, is really higher than the level of man. Why? Because the source of food comes from the level of tayu, which we explained, if you remember a few weeks back, the level, we explained Barichas, the level of tayu and tikkun. So tayu is higher than tikkun. Like it says, the Fnei Melech, Melech L'Fnei Yisrael. That was, when it's speaking about the kings of Yishmael, Esav, it says, the king that ruled before Yisrael. So the Arizal touches up, the Fnei Melech, that it ruled of Bnei Yisrael, that tayu refers to the tayu, ruled before tikkun. What happened? What does the Torah say? It ruled, it died, which means Shviras HaKelim. Nevertheless, even though when it comes down over here, it's lower than the food, than the person, nevertheless, the food is higher than the person. Because we know food sustains a person. And the person receives sustenance, vitality from food. Why? Because the food is, or a person, the food is which means we say, the question is, if a person is higher than, let's say, bread, how could bread sustain the person? So this is what the Alter Rebbe says in other places, which means it's the Pi Hashem that's giving chayes to the bread, which is higher than the person, which gives sustenance and vitality to the person. So what do you see from here? We see that b'sheidish, the food is really higher than the actual person. Well, b'Shabbos was man aliyas ha'olemis, and on Shabbos is the time for the aliyas ha'olemis, which means that on Shabbos we're refining, we're elevating the food the way it is in its source. And through getting the source of the food on Shabbos, we're able to be nimshach chayes, vitality for the soul, in a way of through 12 breads, which means like this. B'sheidish, tayu is higher than tikkun. B'sheidish, tayu doesn't need to have a beer. So if on Shabbos we have the level of tayu at its source, tayu doesn't need to have any refinement. It's interesting. Some tzaddikim, they had a minhag on Shabbos, even though the halacha is you have to have lechem mishnah, but they would have 12. Some people, I think till today, some people have 12 breads. Why? Because al pi Kabbalah, like he's explaining over here, through the 12 breads, you're able to be nimshach a certain madregas in elikus. And on Shabbos, what's the Aveda? On Shabbos, the Aveda is that it's the aliyas ha'olemis, it's the time that the worlds are elevated, that you're able to elevate the food the way it is in its source, and through that, you're able to draw down a chayis from Mamayla Lamata. Yeah, exactly. This is the Galon Tame, the Arizals, the 12 breads. We're speaking about the 12 breads in the Beis Hamikdash. Fine. This is what it says in Mishlei. It says a tzaddik eats and he's filled. There's different ways that it ties with the pasuk, but tzaddik oichel l'seva nafshei. A tzaddik eats and he's satiated. Ubet and Rishoyim techser, and the stomach of a Rasha, he's always lacking. In other words, a tzaddik eats, he feels full. A Rasha, doesn't matter how much he eats, he's always feeling that hunger. So the Alter Rebbe says, there are two types of foods. There's two levels in foods. One level of food is satiating the soul, and the second level is that the stomach of the Rasha is lacking. So Alter Rebbe teaches as follows: the Seiven Nafsha Yuchayis and Nefesh Haba Mamaylo. The Seiven Nafsha refers to the vitality of a person's nefesh, which comes milmailo, which we said that's the level of Shabbos. Ubet and Rishoyim, what does it mean that the stomach of the Rasha, hainu ki Rishoyim hemachitzenim? Rishoyim referred to the external part of the food. And through food, through eating, you're mavar the chitzenium of the food. As the pasuk says, chayo bala vayakienu, which means that the rich person eats food and he throws it out. Every single food has the pleasure of the food, which this is the source of klippa. So through it becoming one with the body and becomes the blood, like the blood, which from the blood we said is sent to the heart and the mind, is transformed to kedusha through strengthening the heart and the mayah for avodas Hashem. And through this, you're taking the chayes of zelu umazeh and you're transforming it to kedusha. And this is what it means, that the stomach of the Rasha is lacking. What does that mean in avodah? That you take out the vitality of klippah. So tzaddik oichel l'seva nafshe means that's the avodah of Shabbos. That you're eating the food, but not to be mevar the food. You're eating the food the way it is in its source. And during the week, ubet and Rishoyim techser, the avodah is to techser, to take out from the Rishoyim, from the klippah, you're able to take out the chayas, from the tainug, from the pleasure, and elevate that to kedusha. So the Alter Rebbe says, "Vayter mihina achila shebachol, eating during the week, shebchinas bitter, iliyesubet and Rishoyim techser. Ava achila shebashabbos am shacham mamayl l'seva nafshi. Which I said outside is during the week that is bitter or better Hashem techzer, that you're taking out the type of food, you're elevating it. During the week, during Shabbos, it's the amshacha of l'seven afshay, since you're eating food the way it is in its source before it is shviras hakelim. So before it is shviras hakelim, doesn't need to have any refinement. Weiter, as the Zayar says, the pasuk says in Malachi, "V'zarisi peresh al panechem, peresh chagechem," says that if you don't do what Hashem wants, "V'zarisi peresh al panechem," which literally means I'm going to throw like dung, manure on your face. Peresh chagechem, the manure on your holidays. So the Zayar explains over there that if somebody, we're going to learn in a second, that if somebody eats on Yom Tov, he's happy, but doesn't share that happiness with others, the Eibusher says, Peresh chagechem, like I'm like putting dung on your holidays. So the Alter Rebbe says, the Zayar says, Peresh Shabbatchem lekomar. It doesn't say Peresh Shabbatchem. If you're not happy, if you're not sharing simcha on Shabbos with others, I'm going to throw that manure. It doesn't say that. So it says, it doesn't say Peresh Shabbatchem lekomar. Because when we're speaking about the avodah during the week, which is mamata l'mayla, so if you're being mavar, every bitter has what's bitter? What's bitter? You're taking the good from the bad. So every bitter has pseilus that you have to get rid of. So the good part of the choicest part of the food that's sent to the leiv and the meach. Where does it go? It goes to the innards. Upnei ma'ayim v'zo bir. Aval b'Shabbos shu nasa milmayla lamata. On Shabbos, the avodah is milmayla lamata. Ein bei pselis klal. There's no pselis whatsoever. Ki pselis hu eitz hadas tevrana, because pselis, where does it come from? It comes from the eitz hadas, which has good and evil. Lamata nasa tevrana b'chol abchinas yidei achilas adam alishim eitz hadas v'tevrana. So because pselis comes from eitz hadas tevrana, so through a person. So when it comes down into the food, it comes from Eitzadas Tevera. A person also has good and evil. It's not equal. Some people have more good than evil. On Shabbos, it's the avodah of that there's no evil whatsoever. Rabbi Yom Tov Ksiv, what does it say by Yom Tov? Perish chageichem, the dung of your holidays. You should be Yom Tov, you should be tzas bitter, because on Yom Tov, even though it's Yom Tov and it's a very high level, nevertheless, it's not Shabbos, which means that there is some bitter. You have to refine that on Yom Tov. We know on Yom Tov, you're allowed to cook and bake on Yom Tov. Only harvesting and planting and charisha to plow, that's also on Shabbos. So since on Yom Tov we're allowed to do some malachas of eating, so automatically there's a shaychas to Bairer and a shaychas to the Peselis. So how do you fix this? How do you fix this Peselis on Yom Tov? So the Zohar says lemechte lemiskeni, which means you have to make lemechte, you have to make happy the miskeni to the poor people. Because what is happiness? What's true happiness? Is to be mesameach other people. Like the pasuk says, you should be happy on your holidays. You the Levi and the convert. Because what's simcha? What's joy? That's you're being mamtik. You're sweetening the dinim. You're sweetening the gvura. And you have to make everyone happy. That everybody has to be b'simcha. On Yom Tif, there's a mitzvah to be b'samachta b'chagecha, to be happy. What does it mean to be happy? How is somebody really happy? He wants somebody who's happy, doesn't want anyone to kill his mood. He wants everyone to be happy. So on Yom Tif, it's the avodah of simcha. Simcha, you can't be mesamech for yourself, so you have to be mesamech for other people. So that's the avodah of Yom Tif. How do you being mevar the pselis on Yom Tif? That's through simcha, making other people happy, having guests. Samachta b'chagecha. He says, like I said outside, that when somebody's happy, he wants other people to be happy. And through that, you're being mamtik the din. Why? Because everyone is equal. It says that somebody who's does not make the poor person happy, his din is not sweet. And the dung is remaining. And therefore the punishment is midah perish, that you give him, the Eibishter gives him perish. Because so if a person does not make other people happy, that means he was not refining the avodah of the pselis. So if he's not refining the avodah of the pselis, automatically he is left with perish. But on Shabbos, even if a person does not make the poor people happy, he does not get punished. Because on Shabbos there's no dung whatsoever. Because on Shabbos the avodah is the amshacha mamayla lamata, which there's no evil whatsoever. Okay, just to recap, we have a few minutes just to recap what we learned, and then we'll explain in a second. We'll explain next year what philo cliche is, and then we'll learn the next member. So just very, very short. We started off Yigal and Tami. The Arizal says that we ask Hashem Yigal and Tami, you should reveal to us the reason, as b'shmei of your name. Sorry, Yigal and Tami the b'stei sanami. You should reveal us your name. You should reveal us the reasons of the 12 breads, which are symbolized in your name. Kfilo kalisha. So we said that the hey, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, we're talking about the last hey, which is spelled hey, which is double. This is the idea of the Maras HaMachpelah, which this is the level of ban. So we said to understand this, we first have to understand the idea of eating. That when a person eats from the food, it becomes part of his fats and blood. And we know the blood is the one that gives the vitality to the person. So the vitality of a person is received from the liver it goes to the mind, and from the mind it goes to the heart. And through that, if a person is doing this in a proper way, he elevates his food and food through the mind and through the heart. That's all b'yimei sachol. But on Shabbos, the avodah is, we know on Shabbos, the halacha is beirer is aser. Why? Because on Shabbos, it's a different type of avodah. It's not the avodah of refinement, it's the avodah of osti sanek al Hashem. And we said, ocher v'kedem tzartani, which we explained that the food of a person, even though when it comes down after Shviras HaKelim, it's lower, but b'sherish is higher. So, and this comes, on Shabbos, this comes through the 12 breads, and this is what it means, Sadak Eichel Seva Nafshi, Ubet Neshayim Teser, that on Shabbos, the avodah is Sadak Eichel Seva, and during the week, it's Ubet and Neshayim Teser, that you have to take out the chayes of the klippah and bring it and elevate it. And this is what the pasuk says, that doesn't say about Shabbos, because even though on Yom Tov it's a very high level, but there's still the avodah of birur on Yom Tov. On Shabbos there's no avodah whatsoever. And how do you be mesakin the avodah of pselis on Yom Tov? This is through simcha. And on Shabbos, even though a person has to be happy, but there's no mitzvah to samachta on Shabbos, because on Shabbos there's no pselis. The Shabbos is the level of einig. Einig is more for yourself. Okay, so on Thursday we'll explain the Kfido Klisha, and then we'll go to the next Mamor. Okay, have a good day.